Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Peter Racer here from Foundation Expo at YouTube, and we're in Adelaide doing a series of special YouTubes, and this afternoon it is my great pleasure to introduce everyone to Greg Johns. And Greg has done that wonderful piece in Brisbane at the Roma Street Gardens called Continuous Division. And we're doing a series of YouTubes, and the first one I thought we'd talk about, because that is a fairly large and major piece. And Greg, if you can just tell us just where it sits in amongst the size of your artwork. I thought that was a good place to start. You know.
Yeah, well that's certainly one of the major works I've made in Australia or overseas. So it would be up there, and there's a number of works that probably range from well, between say 4 metres and up to about 6 or even 8 metres. And look, I'm not sure how many, but perhaps in that scale there's been perhaps 10, 12 finished. And that would be one of the works that yeah, is up there in that range. And
that you were telling me before, as we were merrily chit-chatting, that you've actually done some work in Spain as well.
Yeah, in 2005 I did a really large commission in Ibiza. This actually consisted of an installation work of 11 works, and then a very large, two very large freestanding pieces, one about 6 metres, the other one about 6.5, and a few smaller works as well. So that was actually a great job to do. It actually to this day still remains the largest commission, as I understand, that an Australian sculptor has done in Europe. So it was a great opportunity, that one.
Yeah, that's great, because I think you were telling me that when I think John Truscott first approached you to be involved in Expo, they wanted a major Australian piece in the entrance to Expo, and it was just opposite the South Brisbane rail station there, and it certainly was, you know, just along with, in that stretch, there was just some worldwide amazing artists, and I think you were just so privileged to be one of those. And can you just tell us a little bit more about that part of the Expo experience?
Yeah. Oh, look, there's a whole lot of stories, Peter, and it's a really interesting one. So I think what had happened a little bit was that, first of all, a larger work of mine went over from the Holmes Court collection. People seemed to, the Expo authorities, I'm not sure it was, seemed to react well to it, like that work. Then I think that was probably the main entranceway to Expo, where there were a number of works from major sculptors around the world. I think they started to realise that they didn't have an Australian representative in that group. So I got a phone call only about 6 weeks out from the opening of World Expo saying, look, we'd really love to have a large work of yours, but we know it can't be done now with 6 weeks to go. And I said, look, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll do it. So I sat down, I did some drawings, they really liked what was put forward and such. And it's a pretty amazing story, because we then made that work in 6 weeks. Actually, as the work was going onto the truck, I was hand filing the edges of it as it left Adelaide to go up there. So the work was made at Macmillan Engineering. They've fabricated most of my larger works in Australia.
And still do? And
still do, right up to now. So they made this work over 6 weeks, and they worked shifts on this, and to 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, with 7 to 8 guys working on it day in and day out. So we got the piece made, and we got it made in what was a ridiculous period of time, and got the piece shipped up there, and we did it. So. And
thank God that it did, and thank God it's still in Brisbane. It's in a wonderful location. At the Roma Street Gardens. When it first was installed after Expo, it went into a position where the then Lord Mayor wanted to have certain exposure, and it got incredible exposure. And then when they redeveloped the Roma Street parklands, it was relocated into a very picturesque, very tranquil, and it's still quite a visible location. And I think in the various emails that we've done back and forth, your conservator still looks after that work, I think?
Peter Maxwell, who's a fantastic art conservator in Australia, so he's been involved in looking after that work for, I think, for quite a long period of time now. So what I understand is it's actually in quite good condition. And you know, I've made sculpture now for 37 years, and the conservation of works is a really big issue. And so you need somebody looking at, you know, probably inspecting the work perhaps once a year or something like that. But I understand that work is in good nick. Some of my other works have certainly been, you know, challenged by weather and conditions. But I spoke to Peter today, funny enough, on the phone, and I think in the next, I think it's this year he's having another look at the piece, and he's going to put another coating over it, and which only has to be done every 5 years. So yeah, it's in good nick.
Very good. And with that, what we'll just say good afternoon. We will be back. There's a series of further questions that will unfold over the next couple of days as we work through the interviews. And remember, there are a series of interviews on many of the artworks, and they're all knitting together to be a great Expo 88 25th anniversary production. And with that, good afternoon and thanks a lot.
Thank you.